think this group is such an intimacy, so I think we should introduce each other, don't you think? So I know you. Are we up for it? Your name?
Benny. Clark.
Clark. Mary. I know I met Mary.
Gwyneth.
Dana. Lisa. Marianne. Marcia. Linda. Martha. John. I know Jennifer. And I know Adam. So there you go. Adam, I've worked with him before. Yeah. So my name is Scott Kerman. I want to introduce my wife, Adrienne Kerman. Adrienne is from Virginia Beach. So I brought her here 23 years ago. Literally the same date. It was, I think, May 14th. And guys, it snowed that day. She cried for a week. And she said, oh, is this going to be like this all the time? I said, no, it doesn't happen much in May. I didn't want to tell her about June. So yes, I have twin boys. Let's give it up for me, twin boys. Anytime you say that, you're probably thinking they're like 8, right? Because when you say twins, don't you think 8? 25. Yeah, and they're killing us. Absolutely taking all the bone marrow out of us. I don't know if you have any children that still live with you. Does anyone have? No? Oh, you do? So you know. So mine just the oldest one, and you actually do this. I don't know, does anyone of you have twins? You actually call them older or younger. Not joking. So the older one, 9 minutes, just moved out. Thank God. We have 3 bathrooms. Somehow he was in all 4 bathrooms. He was actually in the neighbors cutting his hair at one point. We thought how is that possible? But it's a wonder, and a lot of the books that I write, actually, Adrienne, I'm going to do the explanation. So I write for the Eagle Tribune, and for the last 4 years. I was a stand-up comedian for 40 years. Interesting, if you want to hear some Hollywood stories before I start with the books. I was the body double for George Clooney. Do everyone know who George Clooney is? Okay, really, for 10 years. Awesome. Yeah, so he started with a show called Bodies of Evidence. It was a mid-season replacement. You probably don't know, but George Clooney's aunt, who is George Clooney's aunt? Oh, you guys are good. Who is his uncle? Jose Ferrer.
Oh,
okay. So he had a place to sleep. And in Hollywood, if you have a place to sleep, that helps your career in incredible ways. So I started with Bodies of Evidence. They come in, and how do you get to become a body double? They said, well, this guy looks like him. Okay. So you go over there. George came in the room, literally took his clothes off. I put his clothes on. Looks like a match. And for 10 years, I was his body double, including Batman. He was in Batman and Robin. So there are times when you see Batman and Robin, that's not George, that's me, getting paid considerably less than George. So I can tell you a little funny story I have to tell you. Okay. So part of being a body double is you would do hand inserts. Does anyone know what hand inserts is? So when they do B-roll in a show or movie, you know when somebody's holding a gun or they're grabbing a woman by the neck, that's not the actor. That's schmucks like me. I'm the one doing the hand inserts. So they would hire you to do that. So my mother was always very worried when I was in California. Scotty, are you making a living? And so then I explained to my mother about the hand inserts. And she goes, I said, I would do hand inserts. They pay me. I use my hands. Scotty, can you just do it in the most simplest forms? Okay, Ma, I got a hand job. I'll just wait on that one. Wait for the joke. So I have these stories today. The first story I want to read for you is, are there any middle children in the, are you a middle child? What are you of what?
5.
You're, what number?
3.
3 of 5. So you'll understand this, right? No more middle children? Mary? Yeah. So you understand the struggle. Okay, so first of all, I just want to mention my wife, Adrienne. I'm 1 of 6. I'm number 4. She is number 4 of 6. So I had to marry her, right? Also, my favorite movie is Rocky. Yep. So I told my parents when I was young that I would marry a woman named Adrienne.
No way.
Yep. But see, this is a problem. She gets upset when I said this. Had Sylvester Stallone, who wrote the movie, named the wife Gloria, she wouldn't be here right now. All right. Thank you.
Uh-oh.
No, it's all the joke, of course. I love the woman. All right. So this is one of my favorite pieces. It's called I'm Stuck in the Middle. And Mary, and I hope you enjoy this because it's tough being a middle child. I'm the fourth of 6 children. I'm a middle child. There are some of you who will stop reading now so as not to give me any attention. No matter how well life turns out, no one would have chosen to be a middle child. Instead, we would have preferred to be the oldest child raised in a pack of wolves. Parents keep their children back a year so they can be more mature physically and mentally. I entered first grade, this is true, at 4 years old because apparently I didn't get the factory job. Birthdays for my siblings were jubilous celebrations. Lots of presents, pizza, cake, ice cream, and kids running around in blissful revelry. I had to work the events taking coats and serving drinks. My birthday is February 3rd. It was never celebrated. This is all true. I remember on my 10th birthday, I found the gumption to mention it at dinner that night. My parents said, "Is that right? Yours is a tough date to remember." In every family picture during vacations, I was placed at the end. So if I died, they could seamlessly scissor me out of the photo. The fun family memory would remain intact. Middle children are classified by society as expendable family members. We unwillingly sign the social contract that if any family member needs a kidney, ours are readily available. When I was young, I never had any new clothes. I wore my older brother's hand-me-downs. Did you guys wear hand-me-downs? Yeah. Did you wear hand-me-downs? Yeah. Sucked. They went, which is one of the 3 words combinations in the English language, one of the worst. I've heard people wax poetic about HMDs, right? Give me some out-of-style pants, ripped at the crotch, and a shirt with calcified armpit stains, and send me out in the world to conquer. All this talk about proper identifying pronouns is nothing new to middle children. We were identified as him, her, or they our entire childhood, as no one can remember our name. This is true. I had an uncle who called me Steve. No one ever bothered to correct him. To this day, if I still turn around if someone screams out, "Hey, Steve." Parents have no interest in rearing middle children, so they assume we have issues. I was in speech therapy my whole elementary school, which is ironic. Was it that my Methuen, because I'm from Methuen, Mass. Anyone from Methuen? No? Anyone ever been to Methuen? You made it out alive. Methuen's a kind of place, honey, don't panic, but I think we're Methuen. It's North Shore. Okay. What's that? Haverhill, Andover, Merrimack Valley.
Oh, okay.
So when I live in Brookline now, but for a guy like me to go to Cohasset, we would have been like, go to Logan Airport first, right? Yeah, we were not, yeah, absolutely. In fact, I was in Cohasset one other time. I should probably mention this now before I finish this story. When I was 7 years old, you probably heard about it in the media. My family went there. It was a big story, actually. We had dinner, and then, well, I should do the backstory if you guys followed my sports career. I was playing midget leagues, 7 years old, for the Orioles. You probably remember that. And I left my hat there. So I've actually come back 52 years later, and it's not random that all you guys are sitting here right now, because I just want to know if any of you guys have my hat. No? Want to look under the table? Okay. I did, hold on, let me, we have a close family friend who is a middle child. This is my lovely wife, Adrian's friend. She is the middle of 3 girls. On her wedding day, that one time in her life when the spotlight should have shined on her alone, her oldest sister announced her engagement and the younger sister announced her pregnancy. My wife is my true soulmate, which she is, as she is also the fourth of 6 children. The first time we spoke, it was like we both fought in World War II, but in different platoons. We make up for the lack of praise growing up by complimenting each other for the simplest of tasks. Honey, incredible job emptying the dishwasher. You've taken it to another level. We're good listeners because no one else lets us speak, and if they do, it's only because they're trying to take a breath. My current count is 2,937 people who promise that the next time we get together, we'll catch up on what's going on with me. I did take away one extraordinary trait to brag about in middle child resume, a genius-like ability to hide ice cream sandwiches. Now, you guys come from big families. Do you understand about hiding food? Did you guys hide food? You still right? Mary, did you hide food?
Now and then.
Yeah, because, right, otherwise, big family, gone. Especially ice cream sandwiches, right? Remember the Hood ice cream sandwiches? That was worth hiding. And again, Hood ice cream sandwiches back in the day were masterpieces. My brothers got the magic trick sets, but I learned to make those 2 wafers and ice cream invisible in the freezer. I hope all of you are enjoying the fruit. If you think this is just a pity piece and are saying to yourself, why don't you quit complaining and get a life, you whiny, middle-aged, middle child, I'd like to take this time to thank you for the sympathetic ear, kind words, and sound life advice. My college buddy is the 5th of 8 children and is the most well-adjusted middle child I know. He tells a story, this is true, that when he was a child, his family left him alone at a campsite while they went on a family rafting trip. That's the only story he ever talks about when mentioning his family. It's like they don't even exist. He does have one strange quirk. Each night he goes out around midnight and howls to the moon. So that's the first story right there. So thank you. Now this next story is crazy. Crazy because it went viral on Facebook. And I didn't have any intention of this. It went viral for like a crazy way. It's about tipping. Do you tip? You guys tip at, when you pick up food, do you tip? Right? Do you feel uncomfortable sometimes when someone just turns around and hands you the food and they try to get a 25% tip for that? Does that bother you? Or do you feel pressured at all? Or no?
I think it's a different thing than when you're sitting.
No, right. So this was about takeout, and people. All of a sudden, you look at your bill, and then they give you this form. They give you the screen, and it says, what do you want to? 25%. How do you guys handle that? Skip, right? Right, but then all of a sudden they're giving you a job before you're trying to pick up your pizza, right? It's like, that's why, okay. But, so it's awkward too though, right? Because they're staring right at you. So I wrote a piece, kids, that I thought was just going to be fun, right? Oh no. Oh no. I mean, viral can be nice, very happy, or it can be weird, man. So before I write this piece, I'm going to tell you, I had people writing like manifestos, Katie from Riverside, California, just going on and on. I'm like, oh my God, this is creepy. So I don't know if this story is going to bring it to, it's supposed to be funny. I think it's funny, but apparently this is a big issue, a hot topic. So here we go. It's called, I Got a Tip for You. I picked up takeout for a family gathering from an Italian restaurant. The order cost $100. The hostess turned around and grabbed the bag of food. That's all she did. She gave less effort than a muscle twitch. When I went to pay with my credit card, I noticed the amount shown on the portable card charger was $125. I asked the hostess, why was I charged an extra $25? She told me I didn't specify a tip amount, so they charged me automatically 25% more. So that's what they do. A 25% for takeout? What in holy hospitality hell is that? Did I accidentally get in line for a tap dance? I told her I didn't even see any tip choices on the screen, and she said, sometimes it skips that part. Huh, that's convenient. So think about what I just said, $25 extra. This is happening to your kids. This is happening a lot. If you don't pay attention, that's what they're doing. Now, in my experience, the word sometimes really means all the time. But seriously, who can possibly notice these things every single time? It's a computer. It's an equal opportunity asshole. It's not like it randomly decides to only screw over the guy wearing the Van Halen t-shirt. The hostess handed me the bag and told me to have a nice day. No, it would appear having a nice day is no longer an option on my bingo card. We need to go back and find the screen that on the computer that skips that tip because I'm feeling a strong need to revisit the tip portion of our day. You mean you don't want to tip me? They do this all the time. Now, do you see the dirty looks if you don't give a tip? The hostess cried loudly enough for all of Italy to hear. I want to pause here to mention I'm a very good tipper. My father used to say, if you can't afford to tip your server, you can't afford to eat at a restaurant. Would you guys agree with that? Yeah. You tell your kids that? Lesson learned. That same server became someone who, when you sit down to eat, takes your order, suggests menu items, serves you drinks, a meal, and facilitates your payment. That's why you give a tip, right? You don't give a tip to that. Basically, the person adopts you for 45 minutes, right? I mean, we're all worked in a comedy club for 40 years. We're trained to say, make sure you tip your server. Okay, so that's where we're at. And they ain't free. Still, stiff a server, and they will still, in 25 years, be able to pull you out of a lineup of 1,000 people. It's true, right? So if you go back to that restaurant to eat, call AAA while you're eating because your tires are going to be flat. I asked a friend who manages the restaurant how much his place grosses in takeout per hour on an average night. He said around $1,000. That would mean the queen of takeout, with her automatic tip of 25%, is you raking in $250 an hour in tips. If she worked 40 hours per week for a year, she would make somewhere in the range of $500,000. I think we would all, I don't know if you guys are retired, still working, we'd all go back to work right now and work the counter at like the Dairy Hut if we could get $500,000 a year. I asked, in addition to servers, I always tip bartenders, food delivery, taxis, Uber, movers, barbers. I tip the house. Do you guys tip the housekeeping staff still? You do? At the hotels and stuff? Okay, great. Upon leaving a hotel, I've heard that that's old school, but I still feel terrible about taking $3 off the hotel desk. See, I felt bad. Again, I've told this second story. I took $3 off a hotel desk that my father left for a housekeeping staff when I was 4 years old. I'm a terrible person. I can't believe you have me here. I know.
Nobody didn't know your name.
Yeah, exactly.
Why did you do that?
What's that?
Why did you take the $3?
Yeah, that's. I don't know. So I've been in therapy, Mary, for 55 years out there. We're working through it.
Maybe you wanted to buy.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, buy candy or something. Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Oh my God. She mentioning my being ignored. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you wanted attention.
Well, you know, if you guy walking around 4 years old with a little money in your pocket, maybe
yeah.
get a little attention from the ladies, because I'm not getting it at home. So I would have made a terrible robber, clearly. The gang would have agreed not to spend any loot until the heat cooled down. The hostess said that she would need to process the charge over again. Did I want to go ahead with it? For Christ's sake, it's not elective surgery. The answer is yes. This is when I heard a sigh from the guy behind me. So we're back in line. I turned around and said, she's given herself a 25% on tip orders. And he goes, not for me. I can tell you that, he said. Tips is actually, so what does TIP stand for? Do you guys know? Right, that's exactly, to ensure prompt service. To ensure prompt service. Lots of professions deserve tips that don't receive them. Nurses, teachers, oh my God, there's my accent. That comes out sometimes. Bus drivers, EMTs, social workers, military. Still, there are other professions that do get tips that I'm not completely sold on. Okay, doormen. Do you tip doormen? No, if you're at a hotel, walk in a hotel, do you guys tip? No.
Let me tell you taxes.
Okay, doorman. I can open the door myself, thanks. Okay, you've opened the door for me. Now I need to stop and search for money to tip you for something I didn't need or want done. Right? Does this mean when I leave the building, we're going to have to do this all over again? Is there a window I can sneak out of? The screen finally came up and I manually put in a 0 for the tip. I noticed a line of clear glasses on a table. I put a glass next to the register and placed $2 in it and wished her a nice day. As I was walking out, I could hear the guy say, "I'll put my tip in the cup too." As I got to the car, I noticed the bag had no napkins or plasticware. I think next time I'll use one of the food delivery services, but can we talk about all the extra fees they charge? So there you go. Thank you. Did you like that?
Yeah.
That was good stuff. Yeah. Okay. All right. You want to do sentimental? Are we in a sentimental mood?
Yeah.
Okay. I like to go back into a lot of stories that are personal to me. Anyone play street hockey when you were growing up? You did? Were there fun times? Yeah. Any of you? In the street? Do you remember kids playing in the street?
My brother played it.
Yeah, with nets and stuff?
Yeah.
Did you play it all? No street hockey? Okay, so I was street hockey was big in New England, if you remember, especially Bobby Orr. Anyone remember Bobby Orr? So when Bobby Orr came on the scene, I don't know if you know, ice rinks just popped up everywhere, if you guys remember. It was huge. And of course, kids were playing street hockey. So I went to visit a friend on the cul-de-sac he lives on, and a group of boys were playing street hockey. I could not have been more jealous. I miss being young and playing street hockey. Growing up, the old joke was the annoyed father saying to his boy, "Hey kid, why don't you go outside and play in traffic?" Street hockey was our answer. Each day after school, we would carry our nets down the street to the same spot and play. Usually it was 4 or 5 kids per side, and we played until dark. We used either a tennis or a plastic ball or a puck with rollers. Do you remember what you used? Yeah, tennis ball. There were no uniforms, trophies, practices, soccer moms, coaches, or refs. Nobody sat around while 10 fathers congregated in the middle of the street arguing about rules. It was all about the love of playing hockey with your friends. The goaltender would wear masks like a Bruins Jerry Cheevers and Jilly Gilbert and pads from baseball catching equipment. Do you remember that? The rest of our protective equipment was our flesh and bones. Nobody ever thought our friendships were our net worth. Though there were plenty of teeth lost and blood on the pavement, no matter the injury, the worst pain would be to stop playing. Contrary to the current world of maniacal drivers who act as if they would rather run you over than brake, no one ever angrily beeped the horn at any of us. Cars would approach our game and wait for a break and play when we'd move the nets. People would watch from their car or pull over. Nobody needed a $75 per hour cop to direct traffic. The sight of kids playing on the street was the reason you lived there. An older man owned the house located in the center of our game. Each day he would sit down and watch the entire game from his window. He never said a word to any of us, true New Englander, right? But the smile on his face spoke volumes. When he wasn't at the window one day, we knew something was wrong. We went to the funeral and leaned our sticks against the casket. For most of us, it was the first experience with death. Something special happens when 10-year-olds console 10-year-olds. Unfortunately, today's young kids are hostages in their home. From the lure of computer games to watching videos on their phone, children aren't encouraged to go out and play. Parents fear letting them wander, worrying about some weirdo coming along and snatching them. Our parents worried we might remain in the house after school. During the course of a 3-hour game, we probably ran a total of 10 miles up and down the street. The daily activity of a 21st century child consists of shifting twice in their computer chair. Oh, sure, we took a couple of lampposts out and windows in the day, but there are no parents filing a civil lawsuit for the pain and suffering of seeing a dent in their mailbox. We didn't have to play with bratty kids because their mother said so. There was no traveling squads or street hockey scholarships to strive for. Everybody met on Freeport Drive at 3:30 p.m. We chose sides and we were playing at 3:31. It was the 1970s and hockey was king. There was no extreme sports, and a skateboard was considered a kid's mode of transportation. You guys remember the 70s fondly, I hope? Do you? Do you guys remember it? They say if you remember it, you probably, in the 60s, if you remember it, you probably weren't there. Bobby Orr was our idol, and the only computer owned was by Batman and Robin in the Batcave. It was a simpler time when we played our own games instead of watching others. Grown men stare at empty ball fields and long for their ball and glove. I see a quiet street and look for my hockey stick. Maybe some kids will start playing street hockey in my street soon. I've got my chair next to the window just in case. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. Okay. All right. How much more time do we have left, sweetheart? Do you want one more story? Yeah, we got the energy. Is that good? One more story? Yeah. Okay. I want to keep. I hope you guys enjoying them. Because I'm enjoying time. It's very nice, and I appreciate being here in Cohasset, and I appreciate the library. Thank you again, Jennifer, for having me. Let me. Okay, you want to hear a little bit about the book?
Yeah.
Governor Dukakis, it just came out Sunday. Governor Dukakis, any big fans? Yeah. No. Good. It's politically, again, I don't deal with anything politically anymore. So when someone wants to talk about politics, I go, no habla inglés. In fact, Jay Leno is a friend of mine, and spoke to him and actually did a nice feature on him for the Tribune. And Jay Leno, who did more political jokes, probably more than Johnny Carson in his life, said he doesn't touch politics anymore. It's just too volatile. You don't want to lose friends, right? I mean, people you love over stupid things that have nothing to do with us, right? On a day basis. Okay, so I've known Governor Dukakis since I was 11 years old. My parents had an ice cream smorgasbord at 11 years old, a fundraiser, and that's when I first met him. And we've been friendly ever since. And I have a sports show called The Grandstanders Live in Brookline, and that's where Adam worked with us, with Adam. And so when I moved to Brookline 18 years ago, we started to become friends again, rekindle our friendship, and I invited him on our show. And so he started coming every year. So about 5 years ago, he started talking about honesty and how he couldn't understand people who weren't honest. Like, you didn't have another choice. There was no other option. That's who this guy, whether you agree with him politically or not, this guy, I'm telling you, I'm here to tell you, he's a legit person. He cares about public service and the public. He cares about all of you. And if he was in this room right now, he'd be asking all of you about your life. And that's kind of nice, right? So after that, I said, geez, I wonder if there's a book we can write. So for the last 4 years, I've gone over to his house on a weekly basis, and I've sat down at the kitchen, and we have talked. I have taped over 200 hours of conversation, and this book just came out on Sunday. It's called The Duke, Weekly Conversations with the Last Honest Politician, a political giant and a comedian walk into a kitchen. So I hope you like it. It's already getting a lot of nice reviews and stuff, but his wife Kitty just died. Yeah, I don't know if you had heard that in March, and she was a champion for the people who didn't have a voice, and she was a wonderful person. They just had the memorial service for her on Sunday, and it was great. Governor Healy was there, Senator Markey. It was a wonderful event. But he's 91, and he's hanging in there, but he's 91 years old. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the book. Do we have more time, or is that it? That's it? Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate it very much. That was fun. And then hopefully I'll come back again for the Duke. Would you? And we can talk about that. I don't think I'm going to be able to bring him. What's that?
It said on the thing that one to two.
Oh, okay. I'll do another story. I didn't know. I'm happy to do it. I just thought, okay, if you guys want, I'm.
Yeah, quick question. You said he has a really good sense of humor. Can you give an example of that?
Oh man. Okay. So, okay, we all know about the military tank, the helmet, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, all right, didn't go. All right, okay, we'll talk about. Look, I love talking about the Duke. I know. Okay, I didn't know if you guys, wanted to hear any more stories. But yeah, me, That's what I do is talk. Okay, so you had to tread lightly on that. So I don't know, you guys remember the whole campaign. So he had a 17-point lead leaving the convention. 17-point lead. I mean, that's equivalent to like the Red Sox winning, well, the Red Sox, but winning like 9-1 in the 6th inning. I mean, that game should be over. Well, it wasn't. It's just so the three big things were,
What year was it?
1988. He was going against George H.W. Bush. Okay. He's Democratic nominee for president. Now, a 3-time Massachusetts governor, which has never been done before. Okay. So there were 3 big things, if you remember. There was the tank picture. There was, let's see if you guys remember the other 2 big ones. Willie Horton, and the debate question. Do you remember the debate question? Okay, so the debate question, that's when debates meant something, like if you actually lost the debate, you actually lost the debate. Bernard Shaw, in the second debate in Los Angeles, this is what happens, and I get so angry and I show this. 30 seconds into he introduces, says, hello, I'm Bernard Shaw. These are my colleagues. We're here in Los Angeles. This is a debate. The rules are that I can ask any question I want, and they want. No one's checked our questions. Governor, I'll start with the governor. Now, I just want to mention, Kitty Dukakis, his wife that he loves more than life itself, is sitting in the front row. Governor, would you remember this? If your wife Kitty, mentions her name too, was raped and murdered, would you still believe in the death penalty? Do you remember that?
Oh my gosh.
Incredible, right?
Yeah.
Set up, right? Yeah. So what do you do with that? He was prepared for obviously he's against the death penalty. Everybody knows that. He was prepared with his staff about the death penalty, but he wasn't prepared with that question. So you feel like he's damned if he do, damned if he don't, right? If he shows no compassion to his wife and answers it straight up, it looks like he's showing no compassion to his wife. If he waffles and say, well, if you're talking about my wife, Kitty, then maybe my view of the death penalty is not so strong, So what does he do? He freezes. And he says, no. First word, no. Okay, never really good word for any conversation. More or less a presidential debate. No, you know that I'm in favor of the death penalty. So what does it look like? He doesn't care about his wife, right? He's cold and heartless. And he wasn't exactly a big personality guys to begin with. So all of a sudden, that's it. Debate's over. People shut the TV. Oh, wait, is the Cosby Show on? Let's make some popcorn. Done. Destroyed him. The next day, the polls were down 7% from that one answer. So that hurt him. Willie Horton. Do you remember what the Willie Horton? It was considered this. They didn't add the Willie Horton ad. Basically, there was a furlough program in Massachusetts where they would release prisoners to bring them out in society, to try to get them to integrate into society. It was a very controversial program. I don't know if you guys were familiar with it. Every state had it, ironically. Okay, but this guy, Willie Horton, gets out. He rapes a woman. He stabs her partner. So they use this ad and it was considered at the time the most racist ad ever in the political world. And they created an ad that basically said that, you would have thought that Michael Dukakis, raped the woman and that he stabbed the partner. And that hurt him too. So that's number 2. And then it's the infamous tank photo that you probably see as a meme to this day. Trump used it a few years ago. Do you remember this photo? Okay, it's a really bad photo. It's a very small man with a very big helmet riding around in a very big tank with a very cute smile, because he's a cutie, but it's not very presidential. And so, of course, now again, that was done by his campaign. So they're the ones who created that photo op, not the Republicans didn't create that video, they did. So they didn't see that video and go, maybe, I know we did this, but maybe we won't, send this out to anyone. Mistake. It's funny because he did a fun picture. I mean, if you're searching one of these days, at the time there was Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish. They were the big stars, right? The big three, and the Celtics were winning all those titles. He did a fun picture where he's like 5'7", if he's on stilts, and so he was standing up on a chair with a Celtics uniform, and Kevin McHale has a ball on top of his head. It's a really cute picture. Okay, so I said, well, when you did that tank photo, did you kind of have maybe that humor in mind where you did that photo? He says, yeah, kind of. I said, well, maybe things would have worked out well if Larry Bird had been on the tank with you. He's like, that was a better idea. Where were you? So those three. So then when we put them in order, he puts the debate question as the one that cost him the most. The second, Willie Horton. And to this day, now people mention that tank photo. It's stupid.
Well, it's sad that it's considered professional for someone to ask such a question. That is highly unprofessional. I mean, we live in a world where that's become a norm. It's not professional at all.
Can you imagine? No, I agree with you, Mary, but I would think that even had he asked that question right now, that Twitter would have blown up. Like, what is he doing asking that question?
Right, exactly.
And I asked him, I said, well, and he's a gentleman. So I said, were you offended by the question? He goes, no, you got to be prepared for any question in the political world. That's what you have to be prepared for. I said, well, did he have to mention Kitty? Now, when I was over there, I was going to play the video. Okay, so when we talked about it. But then Kitty's upstairs. And I said, I am not playing this video so there's a possibility that she could hear it. I'm just not doing that. But he said, no. I said, well, couldn't she have mentioned Jane Doe? Could he have said Jane Doe instead? Why did he have to say Kitty? He said, yeah, that was wrong. I said, okay, during the course of the debate, did Bernard Shaw mention Barbara Bush and put her in any kind of heinous criminal act that she was going to be a victim of? He's like, no. I'm like, so how is that fair? And then he said something to me that was very interesting. Now, when you read the book, he warms up, as he's a very close to the vest guy. But as the 4 years go on, he warms up to talking to me more freely. And which was pretty remarkable. But he says, Scott, I have to be honest with you. At the second debate, after like 20 minutes, I was bored. He goes, yeah, I was bored. He says, I just kind of wanted to get it done. He said, campaigning is boring. He goes, you right? I mean, think about it. He goes to 10, 12 events. I'm at the Rotary Club. Now I'm going to Knights of Columbus and half. And he says, saying the same speech over and over again is so boring. He goes, it's misery. And I thought for a guy who was very personable and got to that level, I mean, think about it. This guy should have been president of the United States. And whether you politics, yes or no, whether you're Republican, Democrat, our world would have changed forever. I mean, this guy was a person who cared about people. And I don't know, we're all people, right? Things would have been, I think, would have been better.
Isn't what you're suggesting saying he wasn't passionate about it the way it's intended? I mean, that's what you do when you're campaigning presidential.
Yeah, I think that.
And it's important that you are passionate about that and can do
I think he liked more walking up to a door and knocking on it, I think that's what, he's very good one-on-one. Yeah. Whether your political views are Republican, Democrat, I am telling you, if he walked in this room, you wouldn't change your political views, but you would love that man. And Bill Clinton, I don't know if any of you had met Bill Clinton before. I met him a few times. He's just like that. He's a guy that despite your political views, you meet him and so charming. But yeah, and then we talk about in the book, how do you get over losing something like that? And I said, well, how does it feel similar to death? And taking the count in death, and if someone dies, hopefully you didn't play a role in it, right? How does losing the most important position in the world to death. And he thought about that a lot. He's like, yeah, yes, obviously it's more upsetting to lose somebody. But you could see he's like, but damn, I had a 17-point lead. This was, it's kind of up there. And the book is a lot about loss, too. He lost his brother, his only sibling, when his brother was 21. His brother got hit, was riding a bicycle and got hit by a car, was left in a ditch to die. Never regained consciousness and died 4 months later in the hospital. And this affected, and he probably did not know that. He didn't really, not a story, but his only sibling. And it's kind of shaped his life, to this day. And of course, Kitty has had, chemical dependency and mental illness through this whole time. So we talk about those struggles and just how strong he had to be in his whole life for his wife, Kitty. So I hope you enjoy the book. It's lots of fun. It's lots of fun. It's humorous, and it's getting a great reaction. And I don't want to ruin the whole book because I want you to buy it. To be perfectly frank, I mean, So you want one more story?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Sentimental. What do you guys want? It was funny. How about I have a guy? Okay. So you guys all get your hair cut, right? No. No one's getting your haircut. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I get my hair cut. All right. So this is a story about. Okay. Hold on a second. Hold on. Oh no. Hold on one second. Let me find that. Hold on a second here. Oh, no. We'll go with it. We'll go with the story. Because nobody gets a haircut here, so what's it going to matter? I'm not going to do a story. Just so you know, a haircut, people go, click, click, click. You hire them. You pay them. They go, click, click, click. It's on the ground. But they clean that up. They put a bib on you like you're at a lobster thing. And then you pay them. And also, you tip them. There we go. See that? In the comedy's called a callback. We came around to that. Thank you. That's my time. All right. Okay. All right. I have socks older than you. We'll finish up with this one. Okay? And I don't for this group, but I do is for some people. All right. Thank you for laughing. All right. I was at a Bruins game last week and was getting a beer. The person at the concession stand asked me for my identification. Are you serious? Whoopee! The single moment in time instantly changed the perception of the last 20 years of my life to a positive. So you think I quite possibly could look like I could be under 21 years old? I asked with a huge grin on my face. Nah, I just have to ID everyone, whether they're 21 or an older guy like you. Huh? Give me back my generous tip. We went back to that. Also, why don't you go? We interrupt this column for breaking news. Getting old sucks. Yes, it's better than the alternative. I get it. But minus that, it's a daily battle to plug the Titanic using Scotch tape. The definition of age is a period of a human life measured by years from birth and usually marked by a certain stage of degree of mental or physical development and involving legal responsibility and capacity. Note the word usually is included as part of the definition to account for morons. I'm finding there are many daily indications that tell me I'm getting older. I can't stay up late as I did when I was younger. I'm so proud of myself if I stay awake past 10 p.m., especially since I got dressed for bed at 4 p.m. I just want to mention a few things about being old that just happened this week. Went to put on my reading glasses. Normal, right? Yeah. Went to put them on. There was only one problem. I already had reading glasses on. The caller ID came up. Unknown caller. I turned to my beautiful wife and said, do we know anyone named Unknown? And this is true. I was reading a book, and at one point, I started using my finger to scroll down, right? Like it was a computer. All right, so, okay. I'm finding, You just got that. With comedy, just I'll teach you. Sometimes, I'm not doing it here, sometimes you just have to wait. You just have to let it basically grow like a plant, right? When I'm in a comedy club, it's like, okay, I'm going to just hold on that one. Just let them think. They're thinking. And then sometimes it's so much fun because you get that. It's like a wave. All of a sudden you get that laugh. And you're like, oh, thank God. Because I'm dying up here, Okay. I wake up each morning and do a counting of what part of my body doesn't hurt. At least the third toe on my left foot is fine. That's something. Well, except for the ingrown toenail and the blister, and the whole sleep thing is traumatic. I don't know if it's just traumatic now. How do you go to sleep? Wake up and suffer an injury overnight? Doctor, I believe I sprained my ankle turning over to sleep on my stomach. I wake up in the middle of the night thinking I either have the most painful cramp imaginable or I've just been shot. I now keep 2 boxes of Kleenex on my nightstand in case one runs out in the middle of the night. I apply a vat of lotion to my body before I go to sleep. I literally slide out of bed. My nightstand drawer primarily functions as a reserve medicine cabinet and trauma center. My wife, this is true, I'm not even joking and I'm so embarrassed. My wife gave me a plastic pill organizer for my birthday. And I was downright giddy. It's color-coded with each day of the week divided into 4 parts with its own little compartments. I quickly ran upstairs so I could sort the personal drugstore that was once the top of my bureau. Hey, honey, I've already sorted out all my pills through Thursday of next week. Do you guys do that? I can't wait to show all my friends and post it to my social media accounts. Oh, Lord, what has happened to me? The only time I mention the word muscle now is when I've pulled one. I lift weights, and my neighbor asked me if I do it to build muscle or to maintain strength. I told him if it's to continue to be able to open the medicine bottle. Getting older changes how you're perceived by others in the real world. Do you guys feel like getting older has the perception of people has changed? I do. I was checking out at the grocery store with my sons last week. The female checkout operator was getting all flirty. Quite an ego boost, kids, till I realized she was flirting with my handsome sons, not me. Hey, this is true. Hey, Dad, why don't you go take the bags out to the car? I'll be there in a little bit. Son, take your time. I'll be out in the parking lot looking for my self-worth. My aunt used to say when you got older and you're out in public, it feels like you're invisible. No words have been more accurately said. I was out running in a busy area last week and I fell pretty hard. I was lying there all scraped up and moaning. At least 100 people walked by and not a soul asked if I was all right. It's true. Finally, a guy came up to me and started videotaping me to post to his Instagram account, making me wish I went back to being invisible. One's hairline becomes an issue as you get older. My older cousin said he dreaded the day when he saw the first gray hair. Now he's completely bald and reflects on those times as the good old days. Now I have hair on parts of my body where I didn't even know you could get hair, and somehow the natural color is gray. People use Botox in their face to make them look younger. Botox is a procedure where the doctor uses a needle to inject toxins into your face to smooth out lines and wrinkles. It usually lasts for 3 to 4 months. Refer to the word how I usually was used early in the column to identify the people who do this. I've been talking to myself more and more during the last few years. My wife and sons used to point it out and would stop and say, stop. Nobody ever mentions it anymore. They're just happy I have someone to talk to. To combat my advancing years, I've decided to lie about my age moving forward. I'll subtract 20 years, and that's the age I'll give when people ask. I can't depend on the beer guy to do it. Well, there you go. That's it. Well, that's a lot of reading, kids. I'm going to tell you so. But this is a pleasure. Thank you. So we have books if you'd like to purchase them. I would appreciate it. They're $20 each. And otherwise, thank you very much. And hopefully I can come back again for the Duke.